We have entered an age in which education is not just a luxury, permitting some men an advantage over others. It has become a necessity without which a person is defenseless in this complex, industrialized society. We have truly entered the century of the educated man. By Linda B. Johnson. On a late Tuesday afternoon, a group of hopeful teenagers embarked on a trip to visit a college campus. These young, bright, and enthusiastic students were ready to embrace a new adventure and were hopeful about finding the right college and beginning the next stage of their education. The story continues with a series of inexcusable events, which included racial slurs from college students directed at our students. This single event sparked media attention. We asked, how could it still happen in 2016? But unfortunately, we know this event is not unique to Uplift. News coverage of equally disheartening acts of prejudice have taken place on college campuses across the nation. But when it came to Uplift students, we were forced to act and address these challenging realities head-on. It is my hope that this symposium is the beginning of a solution-based discussion on equity and inclusion for college students across our country. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yasmin Bhatia, and I'm the proud CEO of Uplift Education. I would like to take a moment and thank my amazing Uplift Road to College team who have worked tirelessly and done an incredible job pulling together today's event. Please help me in recognizing them. I also want to thank the many speakers who've flown from across the country to join us today. We were overwhelmed by the warm reception we've had to this dialogue. So please help me thank all of our speakers and panelists here. I want to offer my personal special thanks to Ms. Tracy Brown, who is with us today, for offering her counsel and her guidance as we put on this event, and for her expertise, which has been invaluable over the past several months, and for taking my phone call on that very early Wednesday morning and asking for her guidance. Most of all, I want to thank all of you in the audience. We have college administrators, diversity officers, admissions reps, college and high school students, K-12 teachers, school leaders, and counselors. You decided to prioritize this discussion by being here today, and we thank you for your time. So thank you everyone. I have been eager for this day to come so we could have a candid discussion together about what equity and inclusion can look like, starting in kindergarten through to K-12, college, and beyond. Well, one of the things that my own organization, Uplift, is deeply proud of the diversity of our staff and being a very culturally inclusive place. I will admit that we have not had enough conversations about equity and racial prejudices that face our students and our families. We realize that we need to equip our staff with the tools and the training to have productive discussions around these issues so that we can better serve our scholars as they go off to have a positive impact in college. I am publicly committing that Uplift Education will be one of the leaders in this work. And this summer, we will kick off a multi-year effort to provide that tools and training to our staff so we can better serve our scholars and families. According to the 2015 U.S. Census Bureau, nearly 33% of white 25-year-olds have attained at least a bachelor's degree. However, only 22% of African Americans and 15% of Hispanics have attained this same level of education. The 2015 UPenn and the Pell Institute's article, Indicators of Higher Education Equity in the United States, revealed that for students from families in the lowest income quartile, who are often Hispanic and African American, the college completion rate is a stark 9%, compared to the 77% completion rates from the highest income quartile families. Both sets of data that I just shared are deeply personal for Uplift because these are the demographics of the vast majority of students that we serve. We know that these statistics are not stacked in our favor. But we, like all of you in this room, work tirelessly every day to turn around those statistics and to change a too often common narrative about the students that we serve and what their college futures look like. So it is our responsibility to create communities and environments that will allow the students we collectively serve to thrive. It will take more than a few dedicated individuals. It will take more than that full ride scholarship. It will take more than that one institution striving to make change. In my 7 years at Uplift, I have witnessed great success in college access. For example, for the last 4 years, dedicated admissions counselors have flown to Dallas to kick off our juniors application process. We call this event JUMP, and it is taking place tomorrow. So thank you to all of those who will be working with our junior students. However, at the same time, I have also seen missed opportunities for college success, despite all of our best efforts at Uplift and our partner higher ed institutions. There are still too many young people falling through the cracks. And when they fall through the cracks because of explicit, implicit, or systematic racism, it is a disservice to us all. I believe that it will take all of us as a K-16 community working in concert to build an ecosystem that allows all students to thrive. So our goal today is to bring together those who are invested and passionate about equity and inclusion for all college students, but who often don't have the opportunity to collaborate together. We hope that you will take this opportunity to learn from one another and to build new relationships that will impact the communities that all of us serve. I'm humbled by the incredible work K-16 has already done, and I'm looking forward to the work we are going to all continue to do together to allow every student to have access to the American dream. So I'll leave you with this final image. In a few short years, these students may be roaming the halls of your high school or the quads of your college campus. So today, as you engage in conversations, as you create those new relationships and listen to innovative ideas, we hope that each of you will commit to one specific action that you can take to make sure that when these students hit your campus, they will be best prepared to be successful and to earn that college degree. Thank you again for joining us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Milan Robinson, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. I am a freshman at Texas Tech I've been a part of the East Dallas Boys and Girls Club for 7 years before I became a mentor in the program. My experience with the Boys and Girls Club has changed my perspective on diversity. The other students and staff at the Boys and Girls Club were more than their color and economic status. We were all so different but very similar. I just had to take initiative and look beyond my preferences and misconceptions. I learned to be open and embrace cultural values and experiences. The Boys and Girls Club helped me get to college. I've been a member for 11 years. I am a recipient of the Youth of the Year Scholarship, Fall Foundation Scholarship, East Dallas Boys and Girls Club Scholarship, Comcast Leaders and Achievers Scholarship, Money Matters Scholarship, Scholastic Achievers. And a Scholastic Achiever qualifying for the President's List at Texas Tech University. These awards are directly linked to my strength of character and genuine desire for learning on any platform, whether academic or social. As I continue to work with the Division of Institutional Diversity and Community Engagement, I have become attentive of the importance of empowering every student to be confident in their academic abilities and comfort in achieving educational and personal goals. Texas Tech is a place where racism and discrimination is becoming less prevalent due to the university's commitment to preparing learners to be ethical leaders in programs such as the Military Veterans Program, Women's Studies, Pegasus, Avid, and Mentor Tech. I would like to thank Uplift Education for affording me this wonderful opportunity to share a bit about myself, the Division of Institutional Diversity, Equity, and Community Engagement for entrusting me to represent Texas Tech University. From here, anything is possible. Guns up. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Paul Frazier, the Associate Vice President of the Division of Institutional Diversity, Equity, and Community Engagement at Texas Tech University. He served in public education for 23 years as Executive Director of Student Administrative Services, a high school principal, middle assistant principal, alternative school assistant. Can you believe all of that? That's a lot. He has taught history and English on the high school and middle school levels, in addition to coaching several high school sports. Dr. Frazier received a doctorate in education leadership and master's in educational mid-management, as master's in curriculum and instruction, and a bachelor's of science degree from Texas Tech University. He has taught collegiate diversity courses and undergraduate and graduate levels, and his research interests are in student self-sufficiency, at-risk student populations, and first-generation students. Please welcome this wonderful man and my boss's boss, Dr. Paul Frazier.
Good afternoon. Yeah, the bravado there. Now, thank you, Milan, for that wonderful introduction. And you can see why we hired that young lady. She is truly a superstar for us. And as I think about some of the things Milan said, and some of the things she's overcome, and all the awards and accolades she's received, and people investing in her future, I think that's why some of us are in the room this afternoon. I'm sorry, the whole time thing and this travel this morning is jacking me up. But I think that's why we're in the room this morning. I do greatly appreciate everyone being in the room today. Because as I understand, this was all put together in about 8 weeks. And 8 weeks we got like minds together to talk about this important work that we do. And to talk about how do we help and uplift students. You don't have to pay me for that. How do we do that? And how do we become wraparound services that ultimately helps them reach their goals? And so I'm just excited about this. I'm excited about this opportunity, and I hope that we're able to continue this. I'd like to start this afternoon with a quote from Louis L'Amour. I love Westerns, right? And I love reading his books, right? It's just something about, Pale Rider or, any Clint Eastwood Western. It's something about the spaghetti Westerns, right? But his quote was, "There will come a time when you believe everything is finished, but that's when you'll begin." And as we talk about when we begin and transitioning, I think there's a transition we all participate in, right? You transition from kindergarten, right? When you have hopes and dreams and you ask any kindergartner and they can tell you exactly what they want to be, to a T, describe it in detail. At some point in time, that transition, I don't know if it's puberty, at some point in time that transition changes. And I think those of us in the room, we got to help that transition so that dream at kindergarten is still available to them when they graduate in college. So as you transition, we think about transition, this is to the administrators in the room, think about this, and the students in the room. Those of you that are seniors, the only difference between you being seniors and a freshman on any college campus is 3 months. That is the only difference. Sometimes that's the only difference as a graduating senior from college, right? You still want to go back to high school and kick it, right? I see a lot of heads nodding, right? And we're afraid of that transition. And then there's a transition when you go to college. And then you get acclimated and you're a sophomore. And sometimes as college campuses, we nurture and cuddle that freshman. And then as a sophomore, we just expect you to know it. But the only difference there is 9 months, right? And we expect you to know it. And we throw you to the wolves, per se, right? And then you become Jan Brady. Like, we took care of you when you were Cindy, and then when you were a senior, right? When you're a senior, we take care of you like you Marshall, but Jan, say, look, Jan, we just expect you to be here and know, right? Learn from your sisters. We just expect you to know. And so as you transition through that, and you graduate from college, it's that transition into the workforce. And the students in the room that are on the cusp of reaching those endeavors, we're not preparing you anymore for regional jobs or statewide jobs or national jobs. We're trying to prepare you to compete globally. And that is so important. And I think the work that we're doing, as we talk about diversity, you have to think about that from a global sense. Because that's where your competition is going to come from. Those are the jobs that you're going to compete for. We have students that were eager. I'm going into petroleum engineering and about to graduate and thinking, ooh, Lord, where am I going to find a job, right? But we have to help them to understand that the more you know, the more you can do. So don't just depend on that and have another thought. So as you transition into that, what is your skill set other than that degree? Because I'm here to tell you, there is education in the classroom, but not all that comes from books. I was talking to some of the people at my table. You got to have all your senses, right? Not like smell and taste, but you got to have a little common sense, a little book sense, a whole lot of street sense, right? Otherwise, people will take advantage of it. And we have done you a disservice if we don't provide that to you. And so those things that they don't get in the classroom, as we talk about diversity, we got to educate them outside the classroom. I love school so much, I went back and got 4 degrees, right? And I just take back, maybe it's because I didn't want to play student loans, I don't know what it was, but in doing that, and transitioning from public ed to higher ed, it was an opportunity to learn every day. Like the benefit of going and working in institutional diversity, equity, and community engagement as the associate vice president, and I so wish they paid me based on my title. Because it's really long, but that's not how they pay me. Right? So you have to be passionate about what you do. Because a lot of times, what you do won't be compensated monetarily. So you have to be passionate about it. Now, as I was talking about transition, talking about my career choices, and as we think about the definition of diversity, if you look it up in Webster, it talks about different ideas, like it's like surface level, different ideas, different concepts, and then we try to place it in a box and just only attach it to ethnicities. When I took this job, I found out it was so many other things. And I was closed-minded about a lot of different things, only because I didn't have an understanding of it. One of the first jobs I had to do when I took this job was give the welcome at the Queer and Associates Bank, right? And so you go in thinking one thing, but that was the best part I'd been to in a long time. It was wild in there. I mean, immediately I thought, man, I'm back in college. This is okay, right? But so many things we close-minded to that we don't welcome that knowledge and we don't welcome that understanding. And I think part of diversity, as we talk about what that is we have to develop an understanding. Because without that, we lose and break up relationships. I think if you think about morally and ethically, if there are some wrongs happening, where do we stand on that and how do we change that? That's the difference in you being passionate about it and being compensated and expecting money for it, right? Because some things just instantly inspire passion for you, right? A song, a moment. You know, my homeboy Prince just passed away, and I just started listening to songs and immediately got passionate about some stuff, right? Thinking about when I just used to slow dance and be whispering lies, be like, you know what? You know what? I love you. I adore you. But that's how I feel about this work. And I'm passionate about it. And it's hard. It's hard to educate someone on things that you're passionate about. It's hard to do that. It's hard to talk to them about it. Because they're not going to feel the same way you feel about it. I talk to people all the time, and I equate this work. You have to do it and understand it. And you have to be constantly immersed in it because it changes every day, right? Every day is a new experience. I equate it to Magic Johnson, right? I love Magic Johnson. Like, I love Magic Johnson so much. I think he's the best point guard ever, right? I even bought some of those little bitty Lakers shorts. I bought the gold and purple Converses, right? I got a jerry curl so I could be like Norm Nixon, and I only played basketball so I could shake my curl with my Lakers uniform, right? Magic I thought was the best, but when it was time for him to coach, he couldn't do it. He couldn't coach what he was passionate about. So as we talk about this diversity work, how do we coach? How do we teach what we're passionate about? And I think that's our challenge. How do we do that? And I'm waiting on my young lady right there to tell me that it's time. But how do we do that? And we transition. Here we go. And we transition to that. Some of the things we think were never a possibility, that we thought we were finished at, because I guarantee you, once we got the right to vote, once we thought we moved from struggle and closer to privilege, we thought we were over. I'm telling you, that was the beginning. If you look at things that are happening on college campus, if you look at things that are happening in our society, we still got a long way to go. We still got a lot of work to do. And it's going to take individuals like the ones in this room with like minds and like passions to just chip at the wall. Because you won't break it down, but we got to chip at it, and we got to continue to chip at it. And as you talk about where does K-12 involve in that, I think you got to start at itty bitty. You got to start talking about them going to college early. You got to provide them with experience early. Because the things you don't know about, you become afraid of. Why is it that students that are salute and valedictorians say, well, you know what, I'm through with school? Or, not that there's anything wrong with going to a junior college, but they never provide themselves an opportunity to even go experience a four-year university. I'm scared to do it. And if we don't provide those wraparound services to them, they'll go and they'll be back home. Man, what you doing here? You'll see them at every football game, basketball game. Oh man, you know they messed up my financial aid. If I hear that one more time, I will still need to be there, but the financial aid office, right? So we got to break down whatever barriers there are, whether it be financial, whether it be a social thing. We got to break those down so that those things that they dreamt about as kindergartners become reality. And we just have to do that. So, in closing, because that whole village to raise a child, I think is going to take all of us, right? Your experiences, you have to pass those on. And we got to share experiences. And so there's a Chinese proverb that goes like this. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, and students, the educators in the room will not, they won't say this in public, but I'm telling you, we say this behind closed doors, right? We are the biggest thieves around. So we'll hear stuff, we'll kind of shape and mold it, and then we put our own name on it. And then it just happens, I'm telling you. So this Chinese proverb I heard, and I kind of changed it. It goes something like this. I mean, who am I to kill dreams? I need to stay informed. It goes something like this. Tell me, and I will forget. So if you tell me how much you're passionate about it, and when we leave this room, if we just talk about it and we don't do anything, and we'll be excited first couple of days, right? Then we'll forget about it. Show me, and I might remember. I may. But if you involve me, I'll understand it. So we got to keep individuals that think, why do I need diversity? States like Tennessee to take all the diversity money. Anyway. Yeah. States like Tennessee that says, I'm going to pull all the money you're going to use for diversity. I'm going to provide minority scholarships. And then I'm going to spend $150K on decals for our public servants. We're going to print $150,000 worth of decals that say, "In God We Trust." Hey, I'm all in favor of that. No problem with that. I want to support them as well. 'Cause if it's a problem, I need somebody with a gun to protect me, right? I'm good with that. But we're going to cut off our head, cut our nose off to spite our face? I don't understand that. With situations with your next door neighbors in Missouri, and you say, we're so diverse, we don't need to worry about it anymore. That's why we need it. That's why we need it. Or particularly on our campus, our struggle is trying to involve everyone. And then you'll have students like, well, why do I need to go? I have a black friend. That's why you need to go. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up for real. Now, if we come together and then we leave, that's a sad thing. If we come together today and then we just leave, and then we fall apart, and the things that we work on, and the things that we're doing now on our campuses, and the things that we believe in, and we fall apart, that's a shame, right? I would say, I'm gonna quote another great author, right? Al Green. I think we need to stay together. Let's stay together, right? I saw some amens swooning, right? I think we need to stay together because that is our challenge, that we stay together on this important mission and this important work. Now, I'm gonna speak words to power, right? Because if you just talk about it and not do anything about it, right? I'm gonna have some t-shirts. Tell everybody give their shirt size to Amy Racone. I'm gonna get you a shirt. Let's quit talking about it. We're gonna be about it, right? Put your shirt size over there. Now, if I just talk about it up here today and I don't do anything about it, then I'm wrong. So I'm gonna offer up to Uplift that we have this same symposium, this same group of individuals, this same power and energy and synergy in the room at Texas Tech, and we host it. Thank you, I appreciate that. And I am sincere about that. Let's not wait 8 weeks before, let's start planning now. don't have all the manpower, because you call me 8 weeks and before the event's supposed to happen, it's not going to happen. Right? So let's start planning now, and I'm expecting to see all those same faces in Lubbock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. For fear of having that sign put up at me, I'm going to be expeditious. And so today for me it's a really beautiful day, and I'm not just referring to the weather outside, although it is gorgeous. I think it's a beautiful day because this is a day that all of us have come together for an important time. And so my name is Lachelle Cunningham, and I'm Dean of College Prep at Hampton Preparatory. And so I've been a proud team member of Uplift for about 6 years now, and I've seen a lot of incredible things. And so one of the things that I'm here to do is to introduce Miss Tracy Brown. And so I met her on a very significant time that happened with our scholars. And so she came to our school to talk to our scholars because they experienced an event at one of the colleges. And she came to talk to us. I thought maybe it was going to be an event just for the kids, maybe for the parents, but it was so impactful until it hit the entire staff. And so when she walked in, I didn't know what to expect. There's this humble, quiet strength that she has, and when she left out of there, you're like, whew. And so what I'm telling you is that she's amazing. And so let me tell you a few things about her. She's an author of 71 Ways to Demonstrate Commitment to Diversity and 10 other books. So that's one thing. She is recognized nationally as an expert on the impact diversity has on relationships in the workplace, and is the president of Intentional Inclusion Incorporated. She is also, since 1991, her Dallas-based company has helped clients nationwide make diversity a core element in their strategic plans. More than 400,000 people have attended seminars and workshops presented by her company. Lastly, her past clients have included the U.S. Department of Energy, Dr. Pepper Snapple, Harvard University, Frito-Lay, we love Frito-Lay, Raytheon, various municipalities, American Express and Honeywell. But before starting her business, she worked full-time as an executive at Kaiser Permanente, so about a third of her business is in healthcare. She has worked with Parkland Hospital, Rex Health Care System, American Heart Association, and Sutter Health, among others. So as you can see, Ms. Brown has a lot of experience and knowledge. So it is without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ms. Tracy Brown.
Because the most important thing today is you. So Lachelle just shared some information, and it's a little bit unfair because you know a lot more about me than I know about you. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to call out a series of experiences that you might have had in your life, and if something I say applies to you, then I'm going to invite you to just really quickly stand up and then sit down. Now, knowing that that's the case, I'm just going to do a test question so that you can be sure you have enough room around you to stand up and sit down without knocking over your neighbor. So the first one is, how many of you woke up this morning? Stand up and sit down. All right. So who in the room has been married for 15 years or longer? All right. No. We don't have time for applause. Is there anyone in the room who is an active member of a choir or band? Is there anyone in the room who has shaken hands with the President of the United States, any president of the United States. How many people in the room are alums of Uplift? Of an Uplift camp? Is there anyone in the room who is a cheerleader in high school or college? Do I have any military veterans? Who comes from a family that has 8 or more children? Who in the room has been to a Prince concert? Rest in peace, Prince. Huh. Who speaks a language other than English fluently? And is there anyone in the room who has ever been summoned for a jury? Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, my most recent example of a time when I was summoned for a jury happened last summer. And it was very interesting. I've been summoned for juries many times. And in fact, I actually served on a grand jury, which if you're not aware of, at least in Dallas County, when you serve on the grand jury, you serve for 18 months. And you are called, you go in 2 days a month for 18 months. And you're just available for whatever grand jury cases need to be reviewed. But in this case, I was called to serve or to be considered for jury duty in the local court. And I got there and I sat down and I checked in and I sat down and I just was thinking, because that is what you do when you're summoned for jury duty. You sit and you wait. And maybe if you're of a certain type of person, you're sitting there praying that they don't choose you, right? So you can go on with your day. But that day I wasn't praying about that. That day I was sitting there and I realized that less than 24 hours before, a young white man had murdered 9 black adults simply because of the color of their skin. So all of you know that my jury duty service was the morning after the Charleston shootings. And as I sat there with nothing to do but think, I found myself thinking, wow, what if the case they called next was looking for jury members for a young white man who had killed 9 black people in their own church after Bible study? Tracy, could you be a fair and impartial juror? And I breathed into that and I said to myself, actually, yes. I believe I could listen to the facts. Yes, I would have emotion related to it. And yes, I would be willing to make a judgment based on all the facts with my other jury members. And then I took another breath. Breathe with me. And I asked myself this question. What if it was a young black man who had gone into a white church or a synagogue or a mosque and killed 9 white people? And the question wasn't, could I be a fair and impartial juror? The question was, did I even think he would get a fair trial? Would he make it to trial? Would he get to court? And then my mind now began to think of all different kinds of connections. What if it was a young white man and he went into a Jewish synagogue? What if it were a young Muslim man and he went into a church? What if? And as I'm sitting there breathing and thinking in my own world, I feel a touch on my arm. Now, side note here. So I feel this touch on my arm, and I'm thinking, I very carefully chose a seat where there was an empty seat on this side, and what? So the gentleman who was 2 seats away from me, white, male, middle-aged, that's all I know about him, he reached over and he touched my arm and he said, "Are you okay? Is there something I can do?" And then my first thought was, who is this crazy person? But as I'm thinking this, I realize that there are tears coming down my face, that in the consideration of the different racial identities and the actions that were taken and the violence that resulted from that, there was such a swelling up of care and concern and frustration and fear, emotion, that the tears came and I didn't even know they were rolling down my face. But in that moment of being asked the question, is there something I can do? There was a voice from deep within me that looked at him and said, yes. Actually, what I would ask you to do as a white man is everyone you come into contact with, just say to them that, yes, I'm a white man and I believe it's time for race-based hatred and violence to stop. Luckily, he did not run screaming from the room. And he didn't recoil. And we had a lovely conversation that I ended up writing about and have been sharing, because what came out of that conversation was the whole idea that every one of us must ask the question, what is mine to do? What is mine to do to end race-based hatred and violence? If I'm on a college campus, what is mine to do to make sure that it is a welcome environment for everyone who comes here regardless of their race or ethnicity? If I am a student on a high school campus or on a college campus, what is mine to do? Is it to reach out and meet people who are from a different cultural and ethnic group than my own and begin to understand them and talk to them and see how their life experience is different from mine? What is mine to do? If I am a parent and I take my kids to school and back, how do I get involved? Who do I meet? Who do I meet and who do I introduce my children to? How do I support the school's efforts? In my own community, what is mine to do? Oh, you know those neighbors about 3 doors down who speak a different language than you and maybe eat different food than you do, and you just kind of shy away from them because they're different? Maybe what is mine to do is to go down and meet them and find out what we have in common and speak up when the neighbor 3 houses in the other direction judges them without even knowing them. What is mine to do? That is the question. Harlan Dalton has a quote that I really love, and it's this one. Sustained engagement around race is also threatened by the profoundly American impulse to treat one another as if we were individuals, first, last, and only. Now, most of you have had this experience where we talk about everyone can pull themselves up by the bootstraps, or, I had a problem, or I had challenges economically when I was growing up and I graduated from college, or, everyone needs to just get good grades and focus. We don't really need to talk about race. We can say this in so many different ways, but it's all about this myth that Everybody's an individual, and that's all. So if someone's not succeeding, it's their individual fault and not the fault of the system. If some individual is having a hard time, it's their individual problem, and they need to go find a tutor, or they need to go find an answer, and if they don't, oh, too bad. But you wouldn't be in this room today if you didn't understand that, yes, we're all individuals, and the systems and the policies and the practices that run our institutions do make a difference in terms of the experience that every student has. And if you, like me, are committed to students having a positive experience in the Uplift scholars and every other student who comes to every campus being seen for the amazing individual he or she is, then I would invite you today to begin to think about, what do you individually do? What is yours to do to help make that a reality? And what is yours to do is different from the person who's next to you. And what is yours to do is different from the person here or back there. Because each one of us can do something. Every one of us can do something. Now the students in the room, the amazing scholars from Uplift and the college students who are in the room, this is really for you. Everybody else, you can take it in and maybe it will have meaning for you, but I especially, this is my favorite quote. I did a collection of quotes and put them together in a book called You Are Young, Gifted, and Black, Wisdom from Your Ancestors. And this is my favorite quote in the entire book. Your ancestors took the lash, the branding iron, humiliations, and oppression because one day they believed you would come along to flesh out the dream. If you're a student, there were ancestors, no matter what your racial identity or ethnic background, you have ancestors who went to hell and back knowing that you would one day come along and be able to step into a dream they couldn't even imagine. And all of this is about creating an environment where not only your individual commitment to do that is supported, but that policies and practices and systems throughout this country will also support that, because you are the dream. You are not just my dream. You are not just your parents' dream. You are not just the dream of people who are 30 years older than you. You are the dream of all of the ancestors before now. And if you are not a student and you are in this room, what are you going to do to make that dream come true? That is why we are here today. And that is what I hope to inspire you to think about. And that is what I hope that you will take with you. Something specific that is yours to do. So this conversation today is about moving from just talking about diversity, the fact that we are all different from one another, to really talking about inclusion. Someone asked me earlier today, why are we still having this conversation? Haven't we been having this conversation for 40 years or longer? And I don't think so. I think we would not ask that if we were talking about quality or safety. If you, on your college campus, do you have meetings where people say, oh, we talked about safety in 1970 and we put these procedures in place and, oh, we don't need to talk about safety anymore? No, because whatever you put into place in the 70s, there are new developments in the 80s and the 90s, and what technology allows you to do today in preparation for the future is different. No one would ever say, when are we going to stop talking about safety? So we don't have to stop talking about diversity, but the conversation should be different. So now instead of just talking about diversity, we should be talking about inclusion. Now instead of talking about access, we should be talking about accomplishments. Instead of talking about rights, we should be talking about respect. So in my generation, the conversation was all about rights. Do Black students have the right to be on our campus? We're not talking about that now. We're talking about, are we creating campuses where there is respect, not just talk about respect, but respect shown and demonstrated in the interactions that every student has with every other student, faculty, staff, administrator. And I want you, next year when we're at Texas Tech, to say, yes, that's what we are moving to on our campus. And here are 5 things that we've done in the last year to make that a reality. I want some of you to be standing up next year and saying, absolutely, we are moving from the conversation about rights to the conversation about respect. Yes, we are actively engaging in a conversation that's not about the politics of it, but the productivity that occurs on our campus when people are able to show up in a complete and total and accepted and valued way. This is the conversation that I challenge you to have this afternoon. As you're going from session to session, I challenge you to think about for yourself, are you approaching this conversation as an issue, a problem to be fixed? Or are you approaching it as an opportunity? An opportunity to serve more students, an opportunity to create students who are effective in a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-generational world? Are you creating and tapping into the opportunity to grow students, faculty, and staff into a culture of belonging, a culture of creating opportunity and sharing, a culture where everyone is valued? A year from now begins today. And in every session you attend this afternoon in the breakouts, think about what opportunity exists for me and answer the question, what is mine to do?